Well, good afternoon and welcome to another episode of The League of Biblical Enthusiasts. Well, I hope you're enjoying this book summary idea as a series. I'd like some feedback if you don't mind on that, because if it's helpful to you and informative and enjoyable, I would like to continue. I don't know what the next book would be, but we are still working with Naomi Shepherd's The Zealous Intruders. Hey, by the way, if you like this content, please subscribe to the channel, share with your like-minded friends, and also don't forget to subscribe to our Substack, where I keep a list of many resources that go into much more detail than we can provide here. You could occupy yourself for hours going down that rabbit hole of resources. Today, I want to bring your attention to three books in my library, one of which is The Zealous Intruders, that have helped inform me in this episode on 19th century travelers, scholars, antiquarians, and so forth, who opened up Palestine or the Holy Land to the West in the 19th century. It is interesting to observe that these three books that I will mention were all written within an 8-year period of each other. Not quite sure what brought that about, but I'd like to share a little bit about each book as a way of comparison and contrast. They are all recommended reading if you want to know more about this subject. And the first is entitled The Rediscovery of the Holy Land in the 19th Century. Yehoshua Ben-Arieh, published in 1979 by the Israel Exploration Society and Carta, Jerusalem. Its 233 pages has many excellent relevant maps, illustrations, and photos. Its bibliography contains both primary and secondary sources, a person index, a place index, and illustrations along with their source. It's organized into 5 chapters by time period, beginning with the first 30 years of the 19th century through Egyptian rule, return of Turkish rule, the period of the Crimean War, and ending with the great exploration funds and scientific teams that were sent out to the Holy Land. It's primarily a record of the evolving historical geography of the region through the study of important travelers, scholars, and scientific teams. It is an encyclopedic record of the personalities with a short overview of each, sometimes with only a few sentences or paragraphs. It will introduce you to many names that you will not find in other books on the subject. Just don't expect a lot of detail for each person that is covered. Dr. Ben-Arieh died in 2023 at the age of 95, but has left behind a solid scholarly legacy. He received his PhD from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem in 1963 and taught there from 1965 through 1979. At one point, he was the chairman of the Department of Geography, and in 1997 became rector of the university. The second book is entitled Digging for God and Country: Exploration, Archaeology, and the Secret Struggle for the Holy Land, 1799 through 1917. Its author is Neil Asher Silberman and was published in 1982 by Alfred A. Knopf. As you can see from the title, this book extends into the first couple of decades of the 20th century, where the other two strictly end at the end of the 19th century. Silberman's book has 202 pages, 24 pages of excellent illustrations, maps, and photos of the period. Digging for God and Country is organized into 3 main sections: A Land of Myths, Power and Prestige, and The Triumph of Science. Each has their own subchapters. The book jacket describes Silberman's work as an enthralling account of archaeological adventure based on original research in archives in Israel and London by an archaeologist who has himself worked at various sites in Israel. Neil Asher Silberman was educated at Wesleyan University and did his postgraduate studies at the Institute of Archaeology at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Silberman's book contains a general 2-page bibliography and a section containing sources for each chapter. It ends with a 10-page general index. It's an easy read, and perhaps what distinguishes it from Ben-Arieh's book is that Silberman gives us more detail of many persons and events. Third is the book that we are covering in our current series by Naomi Shepherd, The Zealous Intruders, published in 1987 by Harper and Row. It's 257 pages long and organized into 8 easy-to-read chapters. It has a bibliography of both published and unpublished sources for each chapter, followed by a general bibliography and index. Shepherd has no archaeological experience as far as I'm able to tell, but nonetheless, she's an excellent historian and covers the subject well. Shepherd is described as a United Kingdom biographer, historian, journalist, educator, documentary filmmaker, and writer who's lived most of her adult life in Israel. And she too, like Silberman, provides more detail on some important figures of that century. Now, I made a note of how each book covers certain personalities that might help you understand each book and how they deal with them. For example, remember Lady Hester Stanhope that we referred to in our last episode. Ben-Arieh's book, The Rediscovery of the Holy Land in the 19th Century, contains only 2 paragraphs. Silberman covers her in 4 pages, and Shepherd has only 1 paragraph. Regarding Ulrich Seetzen, Ben-Arieh has many scattered short references. Silberman has no extended treatment, but Shepherd covers him with 6 pages. What about Jean-Louis Burckhardt? Ben-Arieh has 7 or so focus pages, many more scattered references throughout his book. Silberman gives us 3 focus pages, and Shepherd provides more detail with 7 pages. So what about how they treat William F. Lynch and his expedition to the Dead Sea? Well, Ben-Arieh gives us 6 plus focus pages. Silberman 10 plus pages, and Shepherd 5 plus, so they cover equally well William F. Lynch. Ben-Arieh's book was the first to be published in 1979, Rediscovery of the Holy Land in the 19th Century. And Shepherd, in her book, notes her dependence on Ben-Arieh's work. Silberman, however, references 2 other works by Ben-Arieh, but not his 1979 work. Not quite sure why that is, if he simply missed including that, which would be hard to believe, or for some reason chose not to use it as a source. It seemed to me it would be an obvious miss. Anyway, after reading all 3 books, I would suggest that if you want to get an encyclopedic overview of the personalities and the projects involved in the 19th century Holy Land to the West, read Ben-Arieh's book first. For more detail on some of the major people, the institutions, and various projects involved, read both Silberman's Digging for God and Country and Shepherd's The Zealous Intruders. Best yet, read all 3, and you'll come away with an excellent overview of the 19th century Holy Land travelers, scholars, antiquarians, illustrators, painters, and how they opened the eyes of the West to the Holy Land. Well, there you have it. Our next episode features Chapter 3 of Shepherd's book, and it's entitled Palestine and the Authentication of the Bible. And she's going to discuss certain personalities such as Edward Robinson and his partner Eli Smith, the fascinating story of William F. Lynch and his expedition to the Dead Sea and the Jordan River. So, stay tuned. Be well, always keep learning, and we'll see you soon in the next episode of The League of Biblical Enthusiasts.